700 pounds of meat came crashing into the ring. And I can promise you all that I certainly reacted to that line with the good taste and maturity that you've all come to expect from me. I'm John Recton with my review of NWA Powerrr episode 32. And if you believe that intro, there's one of two things going on. You're a first-time viewer, and if so, thank you very much for tuning in. Or you have missed the numerous, and I mean numerous, immature jokes that I've made in my various wrestling and movie reviews and pretty much all my videos, because I have an immature sense of humor that will never mature. It never will, but it makes viewing wrestling a whole lot of fun. Anyway, enough about silly wrestling humor and silly senses of humor. This was an enjoyable episode of NWA Powerrr overall. I did like the mixture of promos and matches, even though there was one particular thing I was like, what's going on? And why didn't they have the women in a match instead of just in a promo segment? But it is what it is. Beggars can't be choosers. This is episodic television after all, and we're heading towards the two pay-per-views that they're going to be having at the end of August, NWA 73 and also the all-women's pay-per-view. And I am curious to see how they're going to pull off the all-women's pay-per-view. I hope it is a banger. So Joe Galli and Tim Storm, along with Velvet Sky, are on commentary. Strictly Business is out there with Kyle Davis. Basically, this segment boiled down to Adonis and Latimer talking about whoever wins the three-way that they have with Powerrr in the main event. Whoever wins it and goes on to face JTG for the national championship. As long as it stays in Strictly Business, that's what matters. All this keeps going with the Conspiracy Corgan stuff because he's trying to put the screws in Strictly Business, but they're going to hold all the gold. And Camille just has this disdained look on her face where she's just like, why are you people even breathing the same air as me? Unless you're in Strictly Business, I don't care about you. And that's some good stuff. So this was a good promo segment, and they teased a possible little bit of tension with Aldous and Latimer. Maybe, and maybe they tease it a little bit later. So some good storytelling. May interviews the War Kings. And this is about Slice Boogie. Jax Dane has had his dealings with Slice Boogie, and Crimson is going to face him in a grudge match later. So we get Mims versus the Mystery Man, the Masked Superstar. You want to be a Masked Superstar and live large. The Who Are You chance. Who is this Masked Superstar? Genuinely, I actually don't know who he is. Nice technical work. Mims did try to use his power and got in some shots, but there was a rolling DVD 1, 2, 3. A couple of the matches really just were kind of there. This wasn't bad. It was a showcase for this Mystery Man. And then we get an interview with Jordan Clearwater and Black G's where he's saying like, well, Clearwater's like, I want to compete. I mean, I don't really want to face Tyrus, but we're facing him 2-on-1. And G's is like, we got this. We got this. Narrator, they don't got this. They took on Tyrus in a 2-on-1 match. G's tells him to lay down. And Clearwater doesn't want to, and eventually he does. And Tyrus puts his foot on Clearwater's chest and his finger on G's to get the victory. If this didn't involve Tyrus and this involved somebody that actually, could benefit the company, I would care. But I don't really care about anything that involves Tyrus. Nothing against Clearwater, nothing against G's. Nothing against those guys. And also Grandpa Idol was just out there, wandering around not knowing where the hell he was. But yeah, I don't really think Tyrus fits in wrestling in 2021. He barely fit in wrestling in 2014. So anyway, we then get to the main feature with the women, and is Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb at the podium having a war of words. Who should get an NWA Women's Championship shot? Should it be Serena Deeb, who has a rematch clause, or Thunder Rosa, who says that she carried the NWA Women's Championship for a while, defending it all over the world, but Serena's like, hey, who'd I beat for that championship? So both these women have some good points. And Kyle Davis brings up, hey, what kind of, who are some women that you would want to face, that are coming into the NWA? And so they start talking about that. Thunder Rosa did have one good line early on. You're always trying to take my shine, and not Super Mario Sunshine. Sorry. It's kind of a tick that I have where I have to sing a little bit of that song badly because I can't sing. Anyway, so they're talking about, they're talking about the various women that they would want to face. Serena mentions Kylie Rae, and then Kylie Rae shows up. It's like, oh, these are two great wrestlers, not just women's wrestlers, but wrestlers. And they're, having a back and forth and everything. Rosa is done with everybody's shit by this point, which was fucking hilarious. And I love Thunder Rosa. Absolutely love Thunder Rosa. One of my favorite wrestlers, not just women's wrestlers in the world today. Always love watching her matches. Rosa mentioned someone who, the sky is the limit. Melina shows up and she says, well, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Sky Blue. Aha, I see what you did there. And Sky Blue, in the few times I've seen her, I think actually does have some potential, even though she's only in the beginning of her career, a couple years in. And then Sky Blue doesn't really care for what Melina says about her. Well, you're not there yet. Oh, I'll show you. And she says, stop taking my shine, bitch, is what Thunder Rosa says to Melina. And they have a brief brawl, and they brawl backstage. And the words were fine. The promos weren't fine, but this was like, okay, this is the best you have for the women. And then May Valentine interviews Genocide, who just stands there. And Taryn Terrell says the line, she's like a very hard pillow, and when you wake up, you're going to realize you didn't sleep well. Or you didn't sleep a wink. Taryn Terrell should not be in a wrestling company. She shouldn't. I'm sorry. I don't really care for Taryn Terrell at all anymore. Genocide's impressive. I want to see her more. Slice Boogie with Marsha Rocket versus Crimson with Jax Dane. Grudge match. We get some good strikes. Crimson tosses him around. Slice Boogie does get a low blow because he's being the clear-cut heel, but maybe they're trying to push it a little bit more where Crimson might be the heel. Slice, playing the heel well. Crimson comes back with some suplexes. We get at one point Crimson takes his belt off and whips a black man in the South. So yeah, right there, Corgan's views are coming into light, if you know what I mean. Google it, you'll understand what I mean. And that shirt applies to some of Corgan's views, but I'm going to focus on the wrestlers because there's some good wrestlers in the NWA, and there was some good storytelling here, but I had to get that shot in. So DVD, and then Crimson pulls him up, and he's going to use a chair in the corner, then look up at the spotlight, losing his religion, and then Jax Dane is like, no, you don't need him, or you don't need this to beat him, or whatever. What the hell are you doing? And this is after Dane had been beat up by Slice Boogie, so maybe we're having tension with the War Kings. We're having tension with so many tag teams, possibly splitting up. And they don't have a lot of tag teams. So I don't really... I sort of understand teasing tension and maybe these guys could go off and be singles, but unless somebody's contract's coming up, I just don't really understand why they do this. So then, another DVD for 3. The War Kings are at odds. Murdoch and Stevens in a sinking chair are on commentary, which was kind of funny. The Stevens' head was just above the podium, or the table. And then Perro with Odinson versus Adonis with Latimer, or versus Latimer, rather. National title qualifier. Perro uses power and had to be beat up by the two guys, and they had to throw everything at him to keep him down. And then they would go at it for a bit. Perro would come back in, they'd knock him down. Perro eventually did come back with some good near falls, a couple good near falls, and then we get a double superplex where the line 700 pounds of meat came crashing into the ring, and Adonis covers 1, 2, 3 while Latimer was going to come off the top rope with something else. Tension between Adonis and Latimer. A lot of tension on this show. So much tension. Much tension. Such wow. So overall, not a bad show. Again, I really didn't care for the Tyrus stuff, but it was what it was. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.